This is The Litter Box, a Detroit Lions podcast with your hosts, Chet West and Bill Patterson.
Detroit Lions Litter Box listeners, welcome to the newest edition of the Detroit Lions Litter Box. Billy P. and Chet here, and we've got a final 53-man roster. So we have some news to share with you on that. We're going to go through it by position group, but there is one notable name. Chet, can you share with us who isn't on the 53-man roster right now?
Well, the guy we were all looking for, wow, that is a mouthful. Holy cow.
Za'Darius Smith. I'm sure that's what Cash Style says as well.
Oh, boy. Yes, Za'Darius Smith, the mouthful, as he will be known from here on out, is not on our 53, Bill. I think we all expected it. Maybe he still gets there. I mean, what are your thoughts? Is this something that they're waiting on and kind of seeing how game one goes?
I've read and heard the same things you have, that at this point, he might only be a third down option. And because there was such a gap between the contract that he would have had going into the season and what the Lions actually probably think in their heads they can get him for, he probably doesn't want to do training camp and all that, the wrong side of 30. And I'd say let's hold out hope, but everything from the Lions camp says that they believe that Marcus Davenport is going to be a feasible answer, and that Josh Paschal, when he comes back healthy, will also be part of that. If you have anything to add, but I would say at this point, if we get to this Thursday and he is not signed, meaning before Thursday Night Football, I'd say the likelihood is not good.
Well, even if he is, he's not going to play in week one. So I have thoughts about this defensive line, and we're going to go through this, the aftermath here of the 53-man selection and what we're going into game one with as it stands. And when we get to the D-line talk, I'll give you some thoughts and some things I've been reading up on, because I think they have more confidence in that unit than you and I may. Where do you want to start, Bill?
I think at the weakest position, or the position that I have the most questions about, and I know that you do as well, and that's going to be the offensive line. So I'm going to do this by starters, and then I'll talk about the backups at each position as well. So we're going to start at left tackle, the stalwart from Ohio State, Taylor Decker. He's there. He's been a little banged up, but he's supposed to be good to go. Playing next to him at left guard is going to be Christian Mahogany, a Brad Holmes draft choice, a guy that they've been really high on. He filled in admirably last season. Manning the center position, and probably our biggest question, is Graham Glasgow, the wily veteran from the University of Michigan. And then the strength of the offensive line, though he's right guard, a rookie, a second-round pick from Georgia, Tate Ratledge. Next to him is the stalwart on the offensive line, the best player, I would say, on this 53-man roster, and probably one of the top 5 or 10 players in the league, is Penei Sewell. Let's go through the backups on that. At left tackle, we've got Giovanni Manu, and at left guard, we've got Miles Frazier. Although he was a 6th-round pick from Louisiana State, he's out right now, but he is listed as that left guard backup. For center, Kingsley Iguakun. Thank you. And at right guard, we've got Coyote Awasika. And then at right tackle, which let's pray this doesn't happen because I already stated the importance, Jamarco Jones. So I'm really only going to go too deep on that. There's some other names like Colby Sorsdale is on injured reserve. Justin Herron's on injured reserve. Like I said, Miles Frazier's out.
Couple guys floating around that you may hear a name later, but I don't think they're going to play a huge role.
They're going to dress 9 heading to Lambeau is what we're seeing and hearing. What thoughts do you have on the offensive line?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious question marks here, and it's crazy because Tate Ratledge is a rookie, but what he's shown so far is he plays well above a rookie, is the Mahogany Glasgow combo there on the left and center. I think I trust Mahogany. From what I have seen, Graham Glasgow in the past, in his game, he's gotten some pretty low ratings at center from Pro Football Focus. And unless there's some real big improvement in his game, that position scares me the most this season. Our offense has struggled in the past when he has filled that role. That's about it. I mean, I'm not going to pour on. Maybe it'll work out great, but we don't really have, outside of Ikwakun, we don't really have a true center on the roster.
I think there's two things at play here. One, players look really, really good playing next to Penei Sewell. That's how good he is. I'll give an example. Jonah Jackson was a Pro Bowler playing next to Penei Sewell in 2023.
Yes.
The Rams signed him to a massive contract and benched him 5 weeks into the season. He is now going to be a starting guard for the Chicago Bears, and again, is not playing next to Penei Sewell, so I don't expect good things coming from that.
I mean, the offensive line it is a place. It's very much like a lineup in baseball where who are you hitting around? Who hits in front of you? Who hits behind you? Definitely helps your overall performance. So you're right. How many of these guys are feeding off of Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker? So we'll see. Yeah.
And the secret to the sauce on the O-line is that Hank Fraley is the offensive line coach, and he's now helping more with the offense. He's like a co-offensive coordinator. And so much has been written and talked about what was lost. We need to keep in mind that MCDC, Dan Campbell, and Hank Fraley are still there. And if you ask me, are we going to miss Benedict Johnson? Of course we are.
Benedict.
All things being equal, Hank Fraley would have been a bigger loss, in my opinion, because word around NFL circles is he is the best offensive line or one of the 2 or 3 best offensive line coaches in the game.
I think that's probably true. Who do you want to go to next? What other unit are we looking at? You want to do tight ends? Let's do tight ends.
Sam Laporta at the top, and then Brock Wright is your blocker or second tight end. After that, it's Shane Zylstra. And I have to say that after Sam Laporta, I don't terribly love this group. So if he went down for any prolonged period of time, the tight end's not going to be the weapon that it could be. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But, injuries are so commonplace, especially in the NFL.
Brock Wright's okay, but like we've said this before, it's such a step down from Laporta. I'd love to see him draft somebody. Gosh, I really don't want to take another tight end in the first round. It's just been one of those Lions things to do in the past. But I'd like to see him get somebody that can maybe pull a little more weight as that other tight end, run a pattern and catch a ball on occasion.
Is that the ghost of Eric Ebron haunting you?
The ghost of Eric Ebron, Brandon Pettigrew.
Okay. Yeah, but Pettigrew wasn't as painful because Aaron Donald wasn't the next pick.
True. It's true. Like, what did we miss out on? I'm sure there's somebody in that list we can find.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, so tight end, a weaker position for us for sure, but our starter is going to be a good one. I think he's going to have a bounce back season. He was injured at the start of last season. I think that threw things into chaos a little for him.
And early reports from camp are that Johnny Morton, the new OC, loves using the tight end, and to expect a bounce back Pro Bowl type year, provided he's healthy.
Yeah. When we get done talking about the offense for the 53-man, we should touch on Johnny Morton because there's been some new news out there. But go on. Let's get to the next unit here.
Well, you talked about drafting a tight end. What about, I don't know that, I know he's been part of the team for a number of years, but could you see Shane Zylstra being cut if a better option became available? That's just something I want to put out there.
Possibly.
That I could see an acquisition or a trade happening more so than
he's been a regular practice squad player until now, and it's just we're thin there. So it's possible something could happen.
Let's go to the receiver room. Your starters are going to be Amon St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and Khalif Raymond. Backing them up is going to be Isaac, Coleslaw Tesla, and the rookie, Dominic Lovett, made the team. And so we're going to go with 5 receivers heading into the season.
I'm going to jump you on this one.
Go.
I think Tesla will be the 3rd receiver.
Okay.
I think Khalif Raymond will be 4. So in those big 4 receiver sets, you're going to see Khalif out there. I think in the 3 receiver sets, you're going to see Tesla. That's just my prediction for this. I think they have that much confidence in him.
Week 1 at Lambeau.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think you're going to see a lot more of him than you think.
Running back room, which is, I would say, the strongest position on this offense.
Oh, yeah.
The 2-headed monster of Sonic and Knuckles, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Backing them up is going to be Craig Reynolds. We have to do it from the movie Friday. Come on, Craig. And Sione Vaki is going to be the fourth running back. The key thing about Reynolds and Vaki is they both contribute a lot on special teams, giving them value because Gibbs and Montgomery don't contribute, nor should they be expected to. And some of the statistics around how accomplished both backs have been and what rare air it is for Gibbs and Montgomery are just outstanding. And the Lions will go as far as these two go this year.
Yeah, and I think Gibbs is getting ready to have a heck of a season.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have 20 touchdowns again.
I think he's a top 3 fantasy running back. I think he's going to be a top 3 running back in the league. I think maybe Bijan Robinson and Saquon best him, but I don't know. I think Johnny Morton's going to deploy him in every fashion possible.
I agree with that. I just think it's a tall order to expect any player to score 20 touchdowns again. Quarterback room, Jared Goff, and then backing him up is Kyle Allen. This is old news, yesterday's news, but Hendon Hooker is now on the Carolina Panthers practice squad. He was given every opportunity, and it just seemed like the game moved too fast for him. And Brad Holmes has done so much well in the draft and building this roster that he deserves a pass for taking his former college teammate's kid and, trying to rehab him and believe in him, and it just didn't happen.
It'll be interesting to see what they do for that third QB spot. I don't know what they're going to do there.
Well, it is interesting, too, because, the Lions were the ones that instituted or petitioned the NFL to have that third quarterback, emergency quarterback, added. That was the Detroit Lions rule. Yeah. So they don't have to do anything because of the rule. Yep. Should it go down, you're going to see Gibbs or Montgomery, a la Walter Payton, 1985, come in and be the
just run the Wildcat with Gibbs all day long. That'll be interesting.
Love it. You wanted to talk about Johnny Morton before we get to the defense.
Before we jump to the defense, Johnny Morton has all of a sudden become this hot commodity over the last couple days in the press. Apparently, Benedict Johnson, as you call him, tried to get him for the Bears staff before the Lions did, and he said no, and he's going over to coach with MCDC, apparently. I found that interesting. I kind of thought Johnny Morton was like, well, it's the best of what's available right now because Ben left so late in the process. But we played into the playoffs in the postseason, but maybe Johnny Morton was the guy. Maybe he was the get. I don't know.
He is a Sean Payton guy.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, that's where Dan Campbell cut his teeth.
Yep.
So he comes highly recommended from Peyton.
I can see it on the family tree. I get it.
And Johnny Morton's failure was the New York Jets, when was the last time the Jets had a quarterback?
I get
Joe Namath.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move to the defense if we can.
Yeah, let's get there. What do you want to start with? What's your spot that you want to open the defense with?
Well, this is not the deepest position group per se, but it's the one we're hearing the most noise. And that is, let's just start at the defensive ends and edges.
Sure.
Aiden Hutchinson, by all accounts, is back better than ever, healthy, ready to wreak havoc. And I think we can all safely expect with health him to have a monster season. Sure. And you talked about Jahmyr Gibbs being one of the top 2 or 3 players at his position. The exact same thing with Aiden Hutchinson. Where we start getting a little bit of more questions, let's just say, is it the right defensive end with Marcus Davenport?
Yeah.
Again, an ex-New Orleans Saints that both, Aaron Glenn, when he was the DC, but now Kelvin Shepard and Dan Campbell have, good familiarity with. They believe in him. Apparently he's had a great camp and is healthy. We'll see. Backing them up is where it gets a little bit scary. We have a gentleman by the name of Tyler Lacey on the right, and then Josh Paschal is out right now, but they hope, they being the Lions, that he moves in from that third position to actually be the third edge rusher. So you're going to dress 5 for week 1 at Lambeau, and it's top heavy. Provided that Davenport actually is the player that the Lions signed in free agency and have invested in and believe in, that is what we're going with. Your thoughts?
I'm fine with where we're at the very moment. Aiden Hutchinson on one end, Davenport on the other end. I have been reading a little, and the next group we're going to talk about is that interior.
Yeah.
So let me give my thoughts after we get to the interior.
Okay. You've got the rookie Tyleik Williams from Ohio State at your left defensive tackle, but really this doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of who they're playing next to. These guys are going to move around quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then the free agent signing of a couple years ago, DJ Reader. Apparently his health has been good and he's had in a monster camp. So I do think that, again, we're a little thin here, but I think those starters are excellent.
I think Tyleik Williams is just going to be the guy. I think he's going to be great.
I agree.
I think he's going to earn that first round status. Everything that's coming out of camp right now is we're not terribly worried about our pass rush because Tyleik Williams is going to fill some void there.
And the good news is that if DJ Reader can just hold, he's really a run stopper and he can occupy two, three blockers until Liam McNeil gets back. This could be the strongest position group outside of running back on the team. All right, backing them up. Mekhi Wingo, who is a draft pick out of Louisiana State, really hasn't shown a whole lot, but the Lions are sticking with him. Another free agent signing via the Arizona Cardinals, Roy Lopez. He's just a depth piece. And then one of the guys that I think that you and I both kind of have some affinity for, just because he seems like a lunch pail, MCDC kind of guy.
POC.
O'Connor. Nothing real sexy there, and let's hope he doesn't play too many snaps, but he's a depth piece.
But we'll applaud him when he comes in. He's kind of like the Jake Rogers of the Detroit Lions, if you will.
Absolutely.
Sans mustache, or at least I don't think he's got a mustache.
I don't think he has as good a facial hair as Jake Rogers, but few do. Moving over, well, you had a comment on this, right?
No, I gave it. Tyleik Williams, I think, is the difference maker here.
Right.
I think he's going to be the rookie of the year for the Lions this year. I think he beats out Tate Ratledge even, but let's see. Or even Teslaw. We got 3 guys to watch now that I think about it, but I think Tyleik's up there with them as far as difference makers on this team in year one.
You're not giving much support to Dominic Lovett.
I'm not yet. Prove me wrong, Dom.
The linebacker room is really deep, almost an embarrassment of riches for a position that often there's only 2 on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how the Lions do this. Your starters are going to be Alex Anzalone. What I heard is that they came to some type of contract agreement and it just kind of worked out. I don't think the Lions budged a ton, and
I haven't heard a lot. So.
He budged a little bit. So Jack Campbell's going to be your, I guess, middle linebacker if Alex Anzalone's playing weak side, or your will. And then your strong side, and here's an X factor for the season, is Derek Barnes. I believe the Lions are going to use him as an edge when
fresh off his new contract.
Yeah, and he's healthy.
I think he's going to be doing a lot of blitzing from the outside.
Yes, I do. And then backing them up, everybody's favorite mop of hair from preseason, Grant Stewart, Zach Cunningham, and then Ezekiel Turner, who's injured. And then a name that I have to bring up for you, Trevor Nowowski. Just another Pat O'Connor lunch pail type of guy. And then Malcolm Rodriguez is hurt, but probably going to play a role here. I could see, we talked about maybe trading for a tight end. There's an embarrassment of riches in this room.
Do we leverage one of them?
Yeah. And if Barnes plays as well as they're hoping he does, Anzalone might be an option that they could part with.
Interestingly enough, I think it was 2 to 3 years ago, we would have probably said this was the weakest unit on the team. Not many of these names have really changed. Anzalone was on the team 2 years ago. Campbell was on the team 2 years ago. Barnes was on the team 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. Stewart, new guy. What?
No, he wasn't on the team.
No, he wasn't. No, Stewart's like
correct.
The journeyman, right? New guy, Zach Cunningham, I think has been on the team now for a year. I guess I look at this unit, and providing everybody stays healthy, even if they don't, I'd be interested to see what Stewart could do or Cunningham could do in live game action with the ones out there. But yeah, I think they're a strength now. This is another one of those units we look at and we go, wow, we went from nothing to having depth, which is just such a bizarre thing inside of a year or two. Something that happens in the NFL to one degree or another.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my take. I think it'll be a strong unit this year.
All right. And then the secondary has nowhere to go but up. And left cornerback, you've got Terrion Arnold. And moving over to the safeties, you've got possibly the best safety room in all of the NFL in Brian Branch playing strong, Kirby Joseph playing the free safety. Your right corner is going to be the free agent acquisition from the New York Jets, DJ Reed. By all accounts, we're hearing he is an upgrade over Carlton Davis III. And then your nickel back is Amik Robertson, who I'm really high on. I really think Amik Robertson is a difference maker when he's on the field. And again, if fortune is good for health with these 5 position players, I think the Lions could have turned the corner on what has historically been a weakness.
I think it's going to be incredible.
And could be a real strength.
I think this will be the strength of the defense, to be honest. They're going to be very good this year.
So backing these guys up, you've got Khalil Dorsey at one of the corner spots. You've got Rock Ya-Sin backing up one of the corner spots. And then for your nickelback, you've got a gentleman by the name of Avonte Maddox. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see all 3 of those guys in various packages, dime, different formations. And then the safeties, where it gets a little thin. Dan Jackson was drafted, is a former walk-on from the University of Georgia. He's going to be out for the year, but he's a special teams ace. He was a guy that they were really counting on grooming behind Joseph and Branch. And so the Lions have Daniel Thomas and then a recent pickup from the Raiders, Thomas Harper, backing up the safeties. So again, really top heavy, but not real strong depth behind Branch and Joseph. Just something to look for. One thing that you and I keep reading and hearing is that Rock Ya-Sin can move over to both safety roles, and apparently Avonte Maddox can as well. So I think the way the depth chart's reading to us isn't necessarily how everybody will be deployed. And then injured for the year, out for the year, but Enos Rakestraw is still part of this franchise, former second-round pick. So your thoughts on the secondary before we go to special teams and wrap this up?
I'm looking forward to these guys this year. And Terrion Arnold, I mean, they're putting a lot on this guy's back in year 2. They're basically saying, like, the defense goes, the Lions go where Terrion Arnold goes. So I think they're planning on him being that lockdown corner. Last year was a lot of physical play. I remember he led the league in pass interference at some point in time by quite a bit because it seemed like he was getting flagged every series down the field, and he was very physical. Sometimes you want to complain and debate whether it was pass interference. He left no question whatsoever most of the time. Brian Branch will be Brian Branch. Kirby Joseph, another guy that really popped up in the last year or 2. That's another stalwart in this defensive backfield. DJ Reed, newcomer, and Amik Robertson, also known as Dirt. Remember when he did the dirt rant? You can't get lower than the dirt or whatever it was that he did in that game. It was great. Thomas Harper, he filled out our 53-man just a couple days ago. Kind of shocking that it was him and not the mouthful Za'Darius, but Thomas Harper is the guy you're getting to round out that 53-man. So they took a strong unit and presumably made it even stronger. So I'm looking for big things from the defensive backfield this season.
And Dan Campbell said numerous times since camp opened that this is the strongest, deepest, best 53-man roster he's had in his Lions tenure.
And it shows.
Yeah, it does show.
A lot of guys that were starters 2 years ago are sitting in the 3rd and 4th spot, on the depth chart right now. So that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Special teams, you want to do it?
Yeah, Jake Bates is going to be your place kicker.
Yep.
Jack Fox is your punter. Both are excellent, and the Lions have upgraded there. Jack Fox holds for Jake Bates, and then punt returns is going to be Khalif Raymond's responsibility. Kick returns are going to be Khalif Raymond and Khalil Dorsey, and then the long snappers, Hogan Hatton. So really an unchanged group all the way around, and one that I think is solid and very serviceable. I don't think there's a huge upside with it, but I also don't think you're ceiling, but there's also not a very low floor with it either. So Jack Fox, I think, is the strength of that. He really does a good job pinning teams inside their own 20, inside their own 10, sometimes even inside their own 5. And we talked about some of the guys that are willing to pay special teams at a high level. Craig Reynolds, Vaki, Khalif Raymond. So it's exciting, and I feel really good about the roster. If I can circle back to one, I had the statistic pulled up, but Sonic and Knuckles, Gibbs and Montgomery have each recorded at least 1,000 scrimmage yards and 10 scrimmage touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. We know that. What's interesting is they're the first running back tandem in NFL history to have done it in 2 such seasons at all. Not just consecutively. It's never been done. And you and I fully expect with health that this should happen again. So go ahead.
Just one more factoid to throw in there to lap onto your factoid. 4th oldest roster in the NFL. which shocks me. Shocks me. We are at average age of just over 26.
Yeah.
We got old, Bill. When did we get old? We seemed so young. Not long ago.
I ask myself that daily.
That's
and not
that's
about the Lions.
News. And that's the news on the roster. We're old and just getting older.
We'll bring you a Green Bay preview before that. But yeah, I would say let's not worry about it. I went through and actually analyzed where the age was, and a lot of it's depth pieces. So average age,
of our starters is a little better. Okay.
Well, no, Goff's 30. Decker's, the wrong side of 30. Glasgow's the wrong side of 30. So, those are three key contributors right there. I love him, but I don't think David Montgomery is probably going to be a Lion beyond maybe this season or next.
The names will change. Names will change.
Vaki was drafted to be his replacement. So no shocker there, folks. And then Zach Cunningham's old. So we talked about him okay, Alex Anzalone's old. Outside of that, a lot of the defensive guys aren't that old. So it really showed in
the core is still youth.
Yeah, a few key areas. DJ Reader, old. So it's the free agent guys. It's not the Lions draft picks for the most part.
I wish I had a youthful core. Boy. Well,
you look a little banged up.
It's a long couple days, long weekend. We'll get you guys a Packers preview here later in the week. We get our first game. We'll talk a little about their trade that they made. And we'll talk to you guys later in the week. But that's the roster review.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.